Hi guys, it's Carisa, and I just wanted to first of all thank you guys so much for being so overwhelmingly positive and supportive towards our good news. I can't even verbalize how I feel every time I decide to check my phone anywhere on social media, text messages, emails, YouTube comments. My heart feels like it could just burst, and I'm just so grateful that so many people are that happy for us. I'm just really happy right now, and it feels so good to be able to share with everyone. That being said, I can tell that there's some confusion, and because I can't necessarily answer every single comment right away, or depending on how many there are, maybe not all of them entirely, I do want to make sure that I can catch you guys up with some information, just in case you're confused. Today is June 21st, I think. It's a Tuesday. Whatever. Hopefully it'll go up the same day. And I am 13 weeks today. So our announcement video we made last week, at the end of the week, and I posted it that night. We did it on Saturday. And since then, I have been uploading the previous vlogs that I filmed from when we found out. I did not film taking a test. And there are some things that I want to talk about regarding our situation. And I've been at this for so long now. And this is something that we have been struggling with for so long that I don't have time for crap. So if you don't like hearing me say that I'm scared because all I've ever had are miscarriages, after almost 10 years of trying, finally getting pregnant, and there are always losses, and now something seems like it's going well, the fact that I'm scared should not make you upset. You should be able to understand that. Even if you haven't been in that position, please understand that. Because it's something we want so badly, and we've only known disappointment. So we're just trying to be cautious. I don't want to be naive and just be like, oh, I painted the baby's room yesterday, because really, we have to be careful. I want to be positive, but I don't want to set myself up for potential devastation. And don't get me wrong, we would be devastated no matter what. But I think if I just blindly believe that everything is going to be 100% fine, that's really stupid, I guess, is all I want to say. And the fact that I'm nervous and anxious and have anxiety, that's just me. And who knows, even if we hadn't had any trouble, maybe I would still be just as cautious and scared. Well, not just as, but who knows? Everybody handles things differently. And I'm also dealing with hormones and blah, blah, blah. So if you don't think you're gonna like the things that I have to say about my own personal pregnancy, then get the hell out of here. Don't watch these videos. Honestly, don't. This is me just trying to be as real and honest as possible. And I know some of you have been following me since the beginning. I can't even thank you enough for that, by the way. Or there's some people who are just discovering my channel and you've started from the beginning and you're working your way towards this point. And I just want to be real with you and tell you exactly how all of this has felt and how all of this affects us. So that's that. I just really want to put that out there. So there are a lot of things that that you'll see on channels for TTC that I don't participate in or haven't for this pregnancy. And a lot of it has to do with that. This was a completely natural pregnancy. But it was not, and please make no mistake about this, this was not us just relaxing and forgetting about it and getting pregnant. That is not even close to what happened. No, we didn't have any fertility assistance before conception, but we definitely did after the fact. We're very closely monitored by 2 different teams of doctors. And I was still trying. I was still tracking. I had not lost any hope. I had not stopped believing that this could work. And I do attribute these pregnancies that I've had to the ketogenic diet I've been on. Now, if you're not familiar with it, or you'd like to become familiar with it, I have made almost all of my videos about it on my other channel. So I'll link that below for you. But just to kind of give you a very, very fast background, I was married in 2005. We had hoped to become pregnant anytime after that point. I think we went about 6 or 7 years completely in denial that we were going to need any help. We also really couldn't afford it at that point. And then we were doctor assisted for about 3 to 4 years. Now, I have done IVF, I've done frozen transfers. I have also done almost 20 IUIs. We've had a lot of fertility treatments. But my 3 most recent pregnancies, including this current one, all happened once I started the ketogenic diet. 6 months in, I became pregnant for the first time. And since then, in a year's time, I have been pregnant 2 more times. The first 2 didn't work out. And the chemical pregnancy I had prior to that from my IVF, I don't even really count that because it was just days. It didn't keep us from being upset, but it did make me feel really determined once we had used all of our resources from those IVF treatments to change my lifestyle. I was convinced that eating mostly vegan and gluten-free was the way to go. And I just kept gaining weight and I kept having less and less success with fertility. So in August of 2014, August 15th, 2014, I started the ketogenic diet and I lost weight pretty rapidly. Unfortunately, the pregnancies that I had stalled that progress because we took some time off to grieve. And really the only thing that helps you in that circumstance is time, and time passes really slowly when you're grieving. So we would eat our feelings. It was the only thing we really knew how to do. It was the only thing that even sort of comforted us. But we would get right back on track when we were ready. And I've lost about 45 pounds. And up until recently when I found out I was pregnant, I hadn't actually been losing pounds, but I was losing inches. So I really do believe I was still improving my inflammation and my ability to conceive. I'm sure the quality of my eggs were developing much better, and my uterus, for whatever reason, was probably more hospitable. I don't know. I don't even care what actually happened. If you want more information on that, I do want to let you know that the fertility center that I had been going to, that I was seen at recently for some of my medications, they have since, it was after I had started it, and I went back there, and they just coincidentally were also telling their patients to follow a ketogenic diet. Even if you don't have PCOS, even if you don't have insulin resistance, if you are having trouble conceiving, cutting your carbohydrate intake, your sugar intake, and increasing your fats greatly increases the odds of conceiving. I even met some women who were skinny minis and they had unexplained infertility, and they followed the ketogenic diet just until they got pregnant, and they didn't plan on continuing it after that point, or only when they were doing treatments. So please, 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 please look into it if you're struggling with infertility. I believe wholeheartedly that I would not be where I am today without having made that change. And you can do it vegetarian, you can do it vegan. It's a little bit more challenging, but you can. It's completely possible. I don't even really like meat. I don't even eat it that much, but I changed my life by doing it. There were some other changes that I made just before this cycle. I think I'd only been doing it for 2 cycles, so I also attribute these things to being helpful, but I certainly don't think that these things alone would have mattered. The first one is that I got a new thermometer. And truth be told, there wasn't anything technically wrong with my old thermometer, except it beeped too much. So when I wanted to quietly take my temperature in the morning, and I didn't want to wake Mike up, because if I woke up before him and I really had to pee or something and I wanted to just get out of bed, I still wanted my temperature reading to be accurate without waking him up or the dogs and the cats and getting everybody all riled up. So I did some research, and unfortunately there are no silent thermometers that would just like kind of vibrate gently when they're done. I don't know why that doesn't exist yet, but I did read somewhere that the CVS pharmacy thermometer only beeps twice, I think. Once when it starts and once when it's done. That helped a lot, actually, because I could kind of muffle those 2 beeps with a pillow, but Mike hears everything. So if I try to do something where it beeped like 18 times throughout the course of the taking the measurement, he would wake up and hear it no matter what. So I changed to that, and I do feel like I was getting better readings because I wasn't trying so hard to mask the sound and do weird things that could have affected the actual temperature reading that I was getting. So I'm really pleased with that purchase. I think it was like $10. The other thing I did was I changed my tracking app. I used to use Fertility Friend and I hated it. I hated the interface. It was ugly and it was complicated to read, in my opinion. I just hated it. But I did use it for a long time. And then I used others. I think I used Clue for a little while, which I also hated. And then I was using, for quite a while, and I can't remember the name of it, I was using a different app. It was very cutesy, and I still felt like it was effective, except I found out that at one point it was not updating my cycle lengths. So if my period started a couple of days earlier, it wouldn't update any of my other information. And then even with my tracking, it wouldn't update anything. So everything was off. It wasn't telling me the proper ovulation period. And that was really frustrating because I was going by that so strictly for a while that I couldn't believe it when I figured it out. I felt so stupid for not having realized it. So who knows how long that threw me off. So the app that I had started using only a couple of months prior was Kindara. And I took my old data from the previous app, like the past 4 to 6 months, whatever I had, that I thought would help me going forward. And I just plugged that in as my old information and kept going from there. And I like that app a lot better than any of the others that I used. The other thing I started doing differently, only just this one cycle, I was always under the belief that you would take an OPK between 2 and 3 p.m. every day. And the problem with that is I drink between 4 to 6 liters of water a day. And on a ketogenic diet, you flush everything out of your body so quickly with the amount of water you actually drink and then just the water that you tend to flush out of your body naturally. So I do take supplements for that to replace like sodium, magnesium, and potassium, but it doesn't really help when you're looking for an LH surge. So I started doing my OPKs with first morning urine first thing in the morning, and I could read them a lot better. So the whole time I was on keto, whenever I would do my OPKs, and I would do this every cycle, I just glue them to a little piece of cardstock and keep them until the cycle was over, and then I'd throw it out just so I could reference it. And I was having a lot of trouble reading them because they were almost always negative. And I knew that I would have surges, but I couldn't actually see them because my urine was too watered down, I guess. So you can even see on the 31st, there's nothing there. And that's because I had too much water the night before, must be, or something. So, plus these things are kind of inconsistent anyway, but I was able to follow that surge really well, being able to see it better because I switched the time of day that I was using it. If you're interested, I can go over a list of the supplements I was taking while I was on keto. I definitely don't recommend that you just run out and buy them and take them, especially if you're not on a ketogenic diet. But if you are just curious, or if you are on that diet as well and you're trying to conceive, or even if you're just on that diet and you just want to know, I can make a separate video on that if you like. Just leave me a comment and let me know you're interested. Speaking of my dietary changes, I am not on a ketogenic diet currently. I did find that within the first few days even of knowing that I was pregnant, because I found out really early. I think I found out 3 weeks, 4 days. So I had some time to make some adjustments really early on so that it hopefully wouldn't affect things negatively. But a lot of the things that I was doing to get my body into a more ideal position for pregnancy, I could no longer do once I was pregnant. That includes some of the supplements I was taking. Really what was working for me was a high caffeine, high fat, extremely low carb diet with a ton of water. And I was drinking a lot of green tea, unsweetened green tea, and coffee with butter or coconut oil, MCT oils. I was really, really doing it hard. And I think that actually helped me, honestly. I think it put my body in a much better position to be able to get pregnant. But those are all things that I obviously needed to change once I became pregnant, along with, I was regularly eating a salad with a ton of deli meat on it. Can't have that anymore. So I just want you to know that you can still do keto while you're pregnant. There are groups online that you can talk to them and get support. But for me personally, the way that I like to do keto and just the way that I feel in general didn't really jive with pregnant me and the ideal nutrients and things that I want to have for my baby. So I also feel like I have to combat constipation a little bit. So I've been having high fiber, low sugar cereals with full fat milk, and I make sure to have spinach every day and 1 avocado every single day. I have been having berries, just, low sugar fruits, small amounts of blueberries and raspberries, and sometimes strawberries. But I haven't really gained any weight. I think I've gained 2 pounds since I found out that I was pregnant, and I think that's really good for 13 weeks. According to my at-home scale, I've gained 2 pounds since I found out I was pregnant, and at first I actually lost a little bit of weight. So technically, since I found out, I lost 2 pounds and then I've gained 2, so maybe I've gained 4. No, that doesn't count because I started off, I lost weight after I found out, so that doesn't count. But I can't really go by my doctor's scale because you have to drink so much water before your appointment. My appointments are always like at 11. And if I wake up at 5 a.m., I've eaten, I've had a lot to drink. So, and you have to for your ultrasounds. So I always weigh much, much more there. They haven't said anything to me, but sometimes I wonder about that. But I weigh as much as 5 or 6 pounds more there when I'm being weighed at my appointments. I plan to continue being mostly low carb. I do try and make sure that if I eat something, if I happen to have something that's processed, like the high fiber cereals I'm having, or just, I don't know, if I'm eating something that I wouldn't have eaten on keto, I make sure that it has less than 10 grams of sugar per serving. The closer to 5 or less, the better. And I have fresh produce every single day, and I drink a lot of water. I try to get a lot of rest. I'm just trying to treat my body better than I ever have before. And not that I don't think keto would have been the best way to live for me, but I don't think it's the best way for me to proceed pregnant. For those of you who are wondering how I know the gender, if I'm only 13 weeks and I didn't do IVF, it's because I'm old, I guess. It seems to me that this is a relatively new concept, or at least I didn't know anybody who did it prior to like this year. At my doctor's office, they've only been doing this test for a couple of weeks now. And I know that if you're over 35, there are many risks associated with that, and they want to take a lot of precautions and do different testing for abnormalities. And because I'm 34, even though I will still be 34 when the baby is born, my doctor likes to remind me almost every time he sees me that I'm old. And at my first appointment with them, they were basically like, congratulations, here's a list of all the things we want to test for because you're old. You should do them all. So I did opt to do this new form of testing. And I also opted for the NT scan, where they check the thickness of the back of the neck, which baby girl did not participate in. We really had to scan for a long time because she was not in the mood. And she much preferred to just kick me incessantly the whole time. It was adorable. But the very, very short span of time where they saw that portion of her neck, they said that it looked perfectly fine, even though they didn't get a great look at it. And I had looked online before at what were abnormal scans tend to look like so that I could maybe see it for myself and prepare myself. And I did agree with them that the back of her neck looked very flat. And her face, her profile looked just like mine. It was so weird. She had like my entire profile. That is my head on that baby for sure. So the test that I did separate from the NT scan was a blood test. And I know that there are typically blood tests done. in conjunction with the NT scan, but this one was a little bit more thorough, I guess. We received, it felt a little shady at first. They pulled us into some room to tell us about it, and someone, I think, had to go to her desk and do some research because it's so new to them that they weren't even sure what to tell us it would cost or what was involved. So we had to wait for almost an hour for someone to come in and discuss it with us. And I could tell she was real shaky on the details. It was feeling like an upsell. It was feeling like they were trying to sell us something. And my first instinct was to say, no way, this sounds so fishy. I'm just gonna do the regular scan and the regular blood work. And my doctor said, you know, it's very, very accurate. It's not 100%, but it's the most accurate thing you can do. And if your insurance doesn't cover it, don't pay for it out of pocket. I wouldn't anyway. But he said, because of your age, and because we're gonna mark you as high risk because of your history, maybe they will. So once we had it explained to us, I was actually like, oh, that's no big deal at all. I'll do that. Because essentially it was just a blood test for chromosomal abnormalities. It was a pretty lengthy list of things that they were checking. And it's supposed to be very, very accurate. And if insurance covers it, or a portion of it, then you just pay the difference. If they don't, it's $349 out of pocket. And I thought, okay, I can do that. I was preparing to have to pay for co-pays for a surgery, which I did end up canceling, PS. I don't know if at any point you guys heard about that, but I did cancel that surgery. I just didn't feel right about doing it. I really wanted to lose more weight before pursuing anything like that. I hated the thought of somebody fishing around in my stomach when that is where most of the fat on my body is. And I did a little bit of reading on it, and some actual surgeons said, if you can avoid it, don't do it, because sometimes you can cause scarring and make things worse for yourself. And I thought, well, considering my circumstance, that's very likely because I'm a real big girl, especially in my stomach. So I canceled it so that I could focus on losing weight. But I kept tracking. I was still hoping. I was still doing all these things. Like I said, I didn't give up. I wasn't just relaxing. I was still actively trying to conceive. So I canceled it, and then a couple of weeks later, I was pregnant. And so money that I would have spent on, who knows, medications, co-pays, all of that, I thought would have been much more than paying $350 for a test that could really put us at ease. And another thing that they offer, which I'm sure they could do at any point if they wanted to, but I think it's something that maybe they do, the company does, to kind of get people, like nudge people to get the test, is they can tell you the gender. So we did it. Mike and I are so worried about everything being okay. We really wanted to just know that if there was a problem, we would know as soon as possible and be informed on what that meant. This video is already pretty long, so I will make a video separately on that test. But if you want information about it, I'll put the website for it below. And I think it's a whole third-party thing, so there's a possibility your doctor's office would allow you to do it. But we did get word that we were negative for chromosomal abnormalities. And that from that point, we started to feel like we could breathe and we could really start to enjoy the pregnancy fully. Because it's not that we weren't, but we were just petrified. Because I have had crappy eggs for who knows how long, and whatever else has been going on that's been keeping me from getting pregnant. So we were very, very nervous. And then we also found out that our baby was a little girl. So I'm sure that's been confusing to some of you because it's way too early for me to know that, but if I'm due in December, it was probably not making sense to people. My due date is December 27th, but that's based on my last menstrual period. So we'll see as things progress what my due date might change to if it changes. And because I kept them, and I don't know how long I'll keep them for. How long do people keep these things? I did find that I still had my tests. So you can tell that I took one on the 16th, was the first one, and then I took 3 on the 17th. I couldn't really believe it. 2 on the 18th, and then it spread out a lot more from there. And again, you can tell just because I was drinking so much water it wasn't coming up well, but it was there. And I mean, even the first one, it's so hard to see now, but it was a line. I could see it that day. So, and then I also had these, and the digital ones they're dead. They die so quickly. But this was from April 19th. So it was 3 days after my first test, the 20th and the 21st. So those were very promising. And I peed on those, so I probably won't keep them any longer than. So I hope I've answered some questions and cleared some things up. I hate to talk about the diet that I've been on like it's some sort of creepy cult that I want people to join, but I just felt so good on it, and I thrived on it, and it gave me a baby. It's just so worth looking into. And some of you have told me that you've started it, and it makes my heart sing, because I just know that some people also, whether their goals are to get pregnant or not, they also are finding that their lives are changed for all different reasons. So I have made a ton of videos on that on my other channel. I have so much I could say about it, but I've already said it. So if you want to watch those, you can look for it below. I get kind of preachy, I get kind of loud, because I think that some people, you know, they'll be like, oh, I can't, insert excuse here. And I just want you to try. I just beg you to try for a little while, because if that's all that stands between you and your fertility, listen, I've said this before, my first visit with a fertility doctor in like 2010, 2011, he said, go on the Atkins diet. And I was like, no, I don't really like meat. I'm mostly a vegan. I'm not gonna do that. And he was like, okay, I can't make you. I wish I could climb into a time machine and slap myself. I really do. So just so you know, I could have saved myself years of trouble if I had given this a try sooner. I'm sure. And I hate that. But I'm here now, I'm happy, and I just want to help everybody that I possibly can. Some of you have asked me, I've gotten a lot of questions from all different places, and I get so excited, but I also have to do other things like laundry and just be a person and work and shower, so I can't answer everybody right away. But I did want to make this video so I could help kind of update everyone and clear some things up. If I said anything that was confusing or if I left anything out, let me know, because I have been so forgetful. And I locked my keys in my car yesterday. I haven't done that since I was like 20. I can't believe my brain lately. So I used to hate when people said they had pregnancy brain. So I was like, that is not a thing. I'm sort of a believer now. So please let me know. I will get to them eventually, but if you have questions, leave them below. I have had some people ask me if I have a P.O. box, which is an extremely uncomfortable question to get, but I don't want to be rude and act like I'm ignoring anyone. But I really, please don't spend money on me. Yes, I have a P.O. box. It's for business, but I do post it in the bottom of my video because I have had people here and there want to send me things. Mostly letters, cards, and letters, and that is totally fine. That is all please don't think I'm telling you about this because I want you to send me anything, okay? Please. That's so uncomfortable. But I appreciate the fact that any of you have asked. So that is below this video, and it's below my videos, mostly on my other channel because it's related to business stuff. And I guess by business, I mean Etsy. I don't even mean YouTube, just so you know. And also, I've had some people ask me about baby buys. I have made some, and we've received a couple of gifts, and I think I'll do a separate video on that soon, just to share some of that because it's such a small amount of stuff right now, and I'm sure I'm gonna get a little nuts eventually. Knowing the gender definitely encourages baby buys, I think. Prior to that, I didn't know about the status of our, baby's chromosomal health, and I also didn't know the gender, so those two things really kept us from buying a lot. We actually only made one purchase prior to that, but since then I have bought a few things. So I will share those with you soon. It feels weird. It really does. It just feels like a dream. And I know you're gonna hear me say it in some of my other videos, but I just feel like the second I start to really appreciate it and really embrace it and believe it it will be taken away from me. All of it. Everything will just vanish. I just have been led to believe that somehow I didn't deserve this, or I just wasn't destined to get there. And I still have a long road ahead of me. I'm just trying to be, I'm just trying to keep a level head and just really be grateful. I just spend all of my time feeling incredibly grateful, and I just go from there. I don't want to load myself up with expectations or really high hopes. I just want everything to be okay, and I feel like I'm getting a lot closer to that. So just please forgive that. A lot of the videos that I will be posting are me talking about my struggles with getting through, to places where I could feel like just hitting little milestones along the way were like taking another step on a ladder and grabbing another rung and feeling like I'm not there yet, but I'm getting closer. And I talked to another girl who had been dealing with infertility, and she said that, she really believed she had a form of PTSD from her losses. And my first thought was, well, that's a little extreme to say, but I don't know. And maybe there is a professional therapy term for PTSD that doesn't actually involve war or, mass casualties or anything like incredibly traumatic, or maybe just like mini personal trauma, I guess. I don't know. I started to really think about that, and I was like, you have a lot that you didn't deal with and that you denied that you were feeling, or that you just thought is normal. And I think I shut it all out, but as soon as I became pregnant again, it came flooding back, and I just can't bring myself to believe that everything's gonna work itself out, because it just doesn't with us. I've been married almost 11 years. This is the closest we've ever been to having a family. I can't stress enough. Some people, and I'm not, trust me, I know how it feels and I know how it hurts, but I would never, ever tell someone their journey didn't matter because it's taken less time. But just think about the fact that some women that I know who've struggled with infertility, their whole journey fit into the span of mine. They didn't even know their spouses yet before we started hoping that we would have a baby. Like, just wrap your mind around that. People had time to meet and fall in love with someone and then get married, or not, whatever, it's cool, and then have an infertility journey of their own that fit into that whole window of time since I've been trying. So I'm not trying to be like I win or anything, but please understand that. Please remember that this has been years, it's been a decade of wanting to have a baby and making all of these missteps on the way. And sometimes it was good intention, sometimes it was not. So give me a chance to kind of wrap my mind around the fact that that might all be over soon. And I don't even care if we have any other children. I'll certainly try, but we would be beyond blessed to become a family of 3, and we would never ask for anything more than the health and happiness of the 3 of us after that point. So go easy on me, because I'm dealing with a lot. So thank you for sticking with me and watching this. Like I said, I hope I answered some questions and kind of brought you up to date, because I know things were probably a little bit confusing. If you have any questions for me at all, please leave them below. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And thank you for sticking with us, and thank you for being so positive and just for celebrating this with us, because it just feels so good. So thank you. Oh, that's my timer so that I wouldn't talk too long. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon.